The warning. The crystalline halls of the Galactic Senate stretched endlessly upward, their transparent walls catching and refracting the light from 3 artificial suns. Commander Krexar moved through these halls with purpose, though his cybernetic leg clicked against the polished floor with each step. The old Vorthan warrior had seen better days. His once pristine exoskeleton bore countless scars, and 2 of his forearms had been replaced with mechanical substitutes. Yet his remaining organic eyes burned with urgency as he approached the Grand Assembly Chamber. Inside, representatives from over 3,000 civilized worlds floated on their designated platforms. The Galactic Empire had stood for 10 millennia, bringing order to chaos, civilization to barbarism. Never had it faced a true challenge to its authority. Today, Krexar intended to change that perception, though he suspected his words would fall on deaf auditory organs. Supreme Chancellor Thylos called the assembly to order, his serpentine form coiling around his speaking podium. The Netherian scales shimmered with authority as he addressed the gathering. Commander Krexar of the 7th Expeditionary Force has requested emergency session to discuss the human situation in Sector 9. The floor is yours. Commander. Krexar stepped onto the central platform, feeling the weight of thousands of eyes upon him. He activated the holographic projector, displaying a small blue planet orbiting an unremarkable yellow star. Earth. Such an innocent-looking world from this distance. Honored representatives, Krexar began, his voice carrying the gravitas of 500 years of military service. 3 solar cycles ago, my reconnaissance fleet made first contact with the species calling themselves humans. What I discovered there should give us all pause before we proceed with the proposed annexation. Senator Melchior of the Centauran Collective interrupted with a dismissive gesture. Commander, we have reviewed your reports. A single planet with primitive nuclear technology and basic spaceflight capabilities. They haven't even colonized their own moon properly. What possible threat could they pose to an empire spanning half the galaxy? Krexar's mechanical fingers tightened on the podium's edge. Senator, with respect, you weren't there. You didn't see what I saw. He changed the holographic display to show tactical footage from his encounter. My fleet of 12 ships encountered a human patrol vessel near their outer planets. 1 ship against 12. By every calculation, they should have surrendered immediately. The footage played, showing a small human vessel, barely larger than a cargo hauler, facing down Krexar's squadron. The human ship opened fire first, its primitive kinetic weapons and laser systems barely scratching the shields of the alien vessels. The Senate chamber filled with amused murmurs. They fired on you with those antiquated weapons? Chancellor Thylos asked, his tone suggesting he found the situation more entertaining than concerning. Yes, Krexar replied, and when their weapons proved ineffective, they did something I've never seen in 5 centuries of warfare. They accelerated to maximum speed and rammed my lead cruiser. The amusement in the chamber died. On the display, the small human vessel collided with the much larger alien cruiser, destroying itself but causing significant damage to the larger ship's propulsion systems. Suicide tactics, Senator Zephus of the Andromedan Federation observed. Desperate and primitive. That's what I thought, Krexar continued. Until I learned the truth. The human pilot survived. He had ejected moments before impact in a small escape pod, armed with nothing but a handheld weapon and a spacesuit. Do you know what he did next? The chamber remained silent. He boarded my damaged cruiser through a hull breach. 1 human, with basic equipment, fought his way through my ship for 6 hours. He disabled critical systems, eliminated 14 of my crew, and nearly reached the engine core before we finally stopped him. When we captured him, barely alive, do you know what he said? Krexar paused, letting the weight of the moment settle over the assembly. He asked if we had medical supplies for his injuries, because he wanted to be healthy enough to escape and try again. No fear, no surrender, just a calm assessment of how to continue fighting. And this wasn't even one of their elite soldiers. This was a patrol pilot on a routine mission. The Senate remained quiet for a moment before Senator Melchior spoke again. 1 exceptional individual does not make a species dangerous, Commander. Every civilization has its warriors. Krexar activated another display, this one showing Earth itself. After the encounter, I spent months studying them. The humans have a saying, history is written by the victors. Their history is nothing but victories against impossible odds. They fought wars with sticks and stones that killed millions. They split the atom and used it as a weapon against their own kind. They have a concept called mutually assured destruction, where they pointed thousands of nuclear weapons at each other for decades, and considered this peace barbaric, someone called out from the upper platforms. Perhaps, Krexar agreed, but consider this. In their fiction, their entertainment, they imagine scenarios where they fight against impossible odds. Alien invasions, robot uprisings, natural disasters, diseases that could end their species, and in every story they find a way to win. Not through superior technology or innate superiority, but through sheer determination and adaptability. They prepare mentally for disasters that haven't happened. They train for wars they haven't fought. They have militaries that practice for invasions from space despite having no evidence such a thing would ever occur. Chancellor Thylos shifted on his podium. Commander, you speak as if you fear them. I do, Krexar admitted, causing gasps throughout the chamber. Not because they are stronger than us or more advanced. I fear them because they are survivors. Every challenge their planet threw at them, they overcame. Predators, diseases, natural disasters, ice ages, their own violent nature. They survived it all and grew stronger. They went from cave dwellers to spaceflight in less than 10,000 years. Do you understand what that means? It means they're rushing their development, Senator Zephas said dismissively. Such rapid advancement without proper cultural evolution leads to self-destruction. Krexar shook his head. No, Senator. It means they're accelerating. What took us 100,000 years, they achieved in a fraction of the time, and they did it while fighting each other constantly. Imagine what they could accomplish if united against a common enemy. He brought up more data, showing Earth's military installations, their satellites, their defensive capabilities. Look at their planet. Every major nation has weapons pointed at every other nation. They have enough nuclear weapons to render their world uninhabitable several times over. They have biological weapons that could eliminate their entire species. They have chemicals that could poison their atmosphere. And yet, they live normal lives. They raise families, create art, explore science, all while standing on the precipice of self-annihilation. This is normal to them. All the more reason to bring them under proper guidance, Chancellor Thylos declared. Such a volatile species needs the stability the Empire provides. Chancellor, you're not listening, Krexar said, his voice rising. They don't want guidance. They don't want stability. They thrive in chaos. Their entire evolutionary path has been about adapting to and overcoming impossible situations. War isn't their last resort. It's their first instinct, and they're very, very good at it. The commander brought up one final display. It showed human military history, conflicts mapped across thousands of years. They have never had a period longer than a few decades without major conflict. War is so ingrained in their culture that they have rules for it. They have laws about how to conduct warfare humanely. They have weapons they've banned because they consider them too cruel. Think about that. A species that invents weapons so terrible, they refuse to use them on their enemies. Senator Melchior stood on his platform. Commander Krexar, your warnings are noted, but the decision has already been made. The human system sits on a crucial hyperspace junction. We need that territory for the next phase of expansion. The 32nd Fleet, comprising 5,000 vessels, will proceed with the annexation. Admiral Voss will lead the operation. Admiral Voss, a veteran of countless successful campaigns, stood from his position. His imposing figure cast a shadow across several platforms. Commander Krexar, I respect your experience, but you encountered one unusual human. I will be bringing the full might of the Empire. No single planet can stand against such force. Krexar looked around the chamber one last time, seeing confidence and dismissal on every face. Admiral, when you encounter the humans, remember this conversation. Remember that I tried to warn you. They will not surrender. They will not negotiate. They will fight with everything they have, and when that's gone, they will find something else to fight with. You're not invading a planet. You're poking a sleeping beast that has been preparing for this moment since they first looked at the stars and wondered if they were alone. The old commander turned and began walking toward the exit, his mechanical leg clicking against the floor. Before leaving, he paused and looked back. There's one more thing you should know about humans. They have a concept called spite. They will do things that harm themselves if it means harming their enemy more. They will sacrifice everything, not for victory, but to ensure their opponent's defeat. The Empire has never faced an enemy like that. May the cosmic forces help us all when you give them a reason to unite against us. With that, Krexar left the chamber, leaving behind a Senate still confident in its superiority, still certain that one small blue planet could never threaten the might of the Galactic Empire. They had no idea how wrong they were about to be proven. The reckoning Admiral Voss stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Decimator, as his massive fleet dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the Sol system. 5,000 vessels, the pride of the Galactic Empire, arranged in perfect formation. It was more firepower than had been assembled for any single operation in over a millennium. Earth hung in the distance, that small blue marble that Commander Krexar had warned about. From here it looked peaceful, vulnerable. "Admiral, we're detecting communications from the human world," his communications officer reported. "They're broadcasting on multiple frequencies." "Put it through," Voss commanded, straightening his uniform. He expected panicked pleas for mercy or desperate attempts at negotiation. Instead, a calm human face appeared on the main screen. A middle-aged female with gray streaking through her dark hair and eyes that held no fear. "This is General Patricia Williams, Supreme Commander of United Earth Defense. You are trespassing in human space. You have one opportunity to withdraw peacefully." Voss almost laughed. The arrogance of these primitives. "General Williams, I am Admiral Voss of the Galactic Empire. You will surrender your world immediately, for peaceful integration into our civilization. Resistance will result in your complete annihilation." General Williams nodded as if she had expected exactly this response.
"Admiral Voss, I'm going to share something with you."
"We've known about your empire for decades. We've been listening to your communications, studying your technology, preparing for this day. We hoped it wouldn't come, but we prepared anyway. Every man, woman, and child on Earth knows what's at stake today." "Your preparations are irrelevant," Voss replied. "Look at your tactical display. 5,000 ships against your handful of primitive vessels. This is not a battle. It's an extinction event waiting to happen." Williams smiled then, and something about that expression made Voss's secondary heart skip a beat. "Admiral, you're right about one thing. This is an extinction event, but not for us." She looked off screen and nodded to someone. "All units execute Operation David's Sling." The tactical display erupted in alarms. Hundreds, then thousands of contacts appeared throughout the system. Ships emerged from behind moons, from within asteroid fields, from the dark side of planets. But more concerning were the signatures coming from Earth itself. Massive energy readings that shouldn't be possible with their technology level. "Sir, the humans appear to have converted their entire orbital infrastructure into weapons platforms," the tactical officer reported. "Every satellite, every space station, even their civilian structures. They're all armed." But that wasn't the worst of it. The human ships weren't arranging themselves in any recognizable battle formation. Instead, they scattered, each taking seemingly random vectors. It was chaos, pure chaos, and yet, "Admiral," the science officer called out, voice tight with concern, "the humans are using their cargo vessels as kinetic weapons. They're accelerating them to significant fractions of light speed on collision courses with our fleet." Voss watched in disbelief as dozens of human cargo ships, filled with metal ore and fitted with primitive fusion drives, began their suicide runs. At those speeds, they didn't need weapons. They were weapons. The first impacts came moments later. The Empire's shields, designed to stop energy weapons and conventional projectiles, struggled against the sheer kinetic energy of multi-million-ton vessels traveling at relativistic speeds. "Return fire. All vessels, return fire," Voss commanded. The space around Earth erupted in violence. The Empire's energy weapons lanced out, destroying human ships by the dozens. But for every ship destroyed, 2 more seemed to take its place. And the humans weren't just throwing ships at them. Their weapons, while primitive, were creative in ways the Empire had never encountered. Nuclear mines disguised as debris. Electromagnetic pulse weapons that shouldn't work in space but somehow did. Swarms of small drones that attached themselves to Empire ships and began eating through their hulls with some kind of molecular acid. The humans had turned everything into a weapon. "Admiral, the Constellation has been boarded," came a panicked report. Human soldiers used magnetic grapples to attach to the hull during a close pass. "They're inside the ship." More reports flooded in. Human boarding parties, wearing nothing but basic spacesuits and carrying primitive projectile weapons, were somehow infiltrating Empire vessels. They targeted critical systems with devastating precision, as if they had studied Empire ship designs for years, which Voss realized with growing horror. They probably had. On the main screen, General Williams appeared again. Behind her, Earth's surface was visible through a window, and Voss could see massive structures rising from the planet's surface. Railguns. The humans had turned their entire planet into a fortress. "Admiral Voss," Williams said calmly, even as the battle raged around them, "you should know that every human has been preparing for this day. Our children play games about fighting alien invaders. Our military trains for this scenario. Our scientists have been developing weapons specifically designed to fight you. We didn't want this war, but we've been ready for it since we first realized we weren't alone in the universe." A massive explosion rocked the decimator. One of the human cargo ships had gotten through, its impact taking out 3 Empire cruisers in a chain reaction of destruction. "Sir, we've lost 800 ships," the tactical officer reported, his voice shaking. "The humans have lost over 3,000, but they keep coming. It's like they don't care about casualties." That's when Voss understood what Krexar had tried to tell them. The humans weren't fighting to win. They were fighting to make sure the Empire lost. Every action, every sacrifice was calculated to inflict maximum damage regardless of the cost to themselves. "Admiral, urgent message from Earth," the communications officer interrupted. Williams appeared again, but this time her expression was different, harder. "Admiral, what you're experiencing now is just our regular military. What comes next is what we call total war. Every human who can hold a weapon is ready to fight. Every resource we have will be turned against you. We will not stop. We will not surrender. We will fight you in space, on land, in our cities, in our homes. Every human you kill will inspire 10 more to take their place. Is your empire prepared to genocide an entire species that refuses to die?" Before Voss could respond, new alarms sounded. The humans had launched something from Earth. Thousands of small objects spreading out in all directions. "Sir, they appear to be broadcast devices?" the science officer reported, confused. "They're transmitting something on all frequencies." The transmission was simple. It was a compilation of human history. Every war, every conflict, every time humanity had faced extinction and survived. It showed humans fighting with stones, with swords, with guns, with nuclear weapons. It showed them surviving plagues, natural disasters, their own violence. It showed their art, their music, their children. And at the end, a simple message in every known language in the galaxy: "We are humanity. We do not go gentle into that night." Voss looked at his tactical display. He had lost 1,000 ships. The humans had lost 4,000. But Earth's production facilities were still operational, still building ships even as the battle raged. Their population was still fighting, still resisting. He could win this battle, perhaps even the next one. But at what cost? And what would be left to rule over except ashes and a species that would never, ever stop fighting? "Admiral," his second-in-command spoke quietly. Commander Krexar was right. These aren't subjects to be conquered. They're survivors. And they'll make sure that even if they don't survive, neither will we. Voss watched another of his dreadnoughts explode, taken down by a combination of nuclear mines and ramming attacks from ships that shouldn't even have been spaceworthy. The humans were throwing everything at them. Obsolete spacecraft, satellites, even what appeared to be modified atmospheric vehicles somehow jury-rigged for space combat. It was insane. It was impossible. It was human. "Sir, your orders?" the tactical officer asked as another wave of human ships, these ones appearing to be civilian pleasure craft armed with mining lasers, began their attack runs. Admiral Voss looked at Earth one more time. Such a small planet to contain such fierce warriors. He thought of the Empire, of the thousands of worlds under their protection. What would happen when word spread that one small planet had stood against the might of the Empire and made them bleed? What would happen when other species realized the Empire could be hurt? "All ships," Voss commanded, his voice heavy with the weight of decision. "Tactical withdrawal." "We're leaving." "Sir?" his second-in-command questioned. "We're leaving," Voss repeated. "Alert the Senate. Tell them Commander Krexar was right. The humans are not to be conquered. They're to be respected, and possibly feared." As the Empire fleet began its retreat, gathering its surviving ships and jumping to hyperspace, General Williams appeared on the screen one last time. "Admiral Voss, thank you for your wisdom. Know that humanity holds no grudge. We simply wanted to be left alone. But also know that we will remember this day, and we will be ready if you ever return." The last thing Voss saw before entering hyperspace was Earth, still blue, still beautiful, still unconquered. Around it, The debris of thousands of ships, both human and Empire, floated as a testament to the battle. The humans had lost more ships, more lives, but they had won something more important. They had won their freedom and the galaxy's respect. Back on Nexus Prime, when Admiral Voss stood before the Galactic Senate and delivered his report, the chamber was silent. Commander Krexar was there, his mechanical parts whirring softly as he stood. "The humans," Voss said simply, "are not like us. They don't fight for glory or conquest. They fight for survival. And a species that has survived everything their cruel universe threw at them, and asked for more, is not a species we want as enemies. I recommend immediate peace treaties and recognition of human sovereignty." The Senate voted unanimously to accept his recommendation. Earth was marked on all star charts as an independent system, not to be approached without invitation. And throughout the galaxy, the story spread. The story of the small blue planet that stood against the might of an empire and won, not through superior technology or numbers, but through sheer human determination. Commander Krexar, watching the proceedings, allowed himself a small smile. The galaxy had learned what he had tried to teach them. Humans were not to be underestimated. They were survivors, warriors, and perhaps if approached correctly, they could even be friends. But enemies? Never again. The galaxy had been warned about Earth's soldiers. Now finally they believed.